Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out blackfoxnews.com/shop. The link is in the Instagram bio, or you can type it directly into the URL. You get to that shopping page, you can actually buy some paraphernalia for us to keep us moving as a movement. You know what I mean? Support us. We continue to support y'all. Now, a gunman yesterday in Atlanta actually went crazy. 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long is somebody who's been taken into custody for this, but there was a gunman that basically went into these 3 different Asian massage parlors and murdered 8 people across the massage parlors. 6 of them were Asian. Only one of them was not a woman. Was not a woman. Yeah, I'm saying that right. So it was an ill situation. You have groups like Stop AAPI Hate that are actually saying that these attacks against Asian Americans have actually been on the rise since the start of the pandemic, and that over the past year there's been 4,000 incidents of like hate crimes against Asian Americans. So we'll see how this all turns out. Green Wall and graduation fucked up. The New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So today you actually had a report came out by Public Citizen, shout out to them, but they actually said that a third of the COVID-19 deaths in the U.S. were actually tied to a lack of insurance, and that basically keep in mind that there have been 537,000 bodies that have fell or left the earth due to COVID-19 since the start of this pandemic. And Public Citizen is basically saying that if there were a Medicare for All system, millions of infections likely would have been able to have been prevented. So keep in mind that today is actually where the day, it marks a year since the first recorded COVID-19 infection in all 50 states and in the District of Columbia actually was recorded. And you have Democratic Congress members Pramila Jayapal and Debbie Dingell, who are actually submitting a bill called the Medicare for All Act of 2021, basically establishing insurance for everybody or whatever. Now, this is a policy that, most Americans actually agree with according to consensuses and all of that or whatever, but Biden has made it known that he does not support Medicare for all and not trying to be like Bernie Sanders. He really just wanted Bernie Sanders followers, right? Let's get a stat, you know what I'm saying? But that's what's shaking down, though. We are a year, official year, since we've known about the first infection in the United States, even though it was linked to even being the this winters before that. But that's where we at right now, though. We'll see how this turns out. Green Wall and graduation. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So you actually have the White House saying that they're going to send extra vaccines out to these areas in the United States that are seeing spikes or surges in COVID-19 cases, including the places that actually have that new variant of coronavirus running around. So keep in mind, though, these vaccines aren't known to deal with the new variants, but nonetheless, this seems to be a method of combating it. Keep in mind also that overall, the COVID numbers in the U.S. have sharply declined, but there's still over a dozen states where now new cases are actually on the rise. So more specifically in Oklahoma, you have the Chickasaw Nation and other tribal territories that have said that they're going to open up their vaccine distribution to all Oklahomans because in reality in Oklahoma, you have the tribal healthcare experts, healthcare providers that have been outpacing the other doctors and hospitals in distributing the vaccine to people. So that's where they stand. You have Moderna. This is the second vaccine that was approved of given emergency use authorization by the FDA in the United States. The Moderna is actually beginning trials on children and babies taking the vaccine, starting for children that are as young as 6 months old. And Isabel Guzman has actually been approved of by the Senate and confirmed to be the head of the Small Business Administration, the SBA branch of the government, which right now is tasked with monitoring the Paycheck Protection Program, or them PPP checks that y'all was out there getting. Some of y'all was frauding for, acting like y'all had a business that was pulling in some racks a month and all of that or whatever. Well, she's gonna be overseeing that. So if you into that, you know what I'm saying, you've been scamming with that, you might want to look in the shorty resume, you know what I mean? But Green Wall graduation, y'all stay woke. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So you have the World Health Organization, who that have actually publicly urged countries to move with extreme caution in dealing with any sort of vaccine identification programs, including like the possible use of like vaccine passports and all of that. You actually had Dr. Michael Ryan, who is the WHO Health Emergencies Program Executive Director, who was saying like, you know, we're living in a tremendously iniquitous situations where you have the likelihood of you even having access to or being offered a vaccine has everything to do with like your, you know, the amount of wealth you have, your status, and even the influence of yourself or your government on global markets. So essentially, they're just warning that the inequalities of the class inequalities of many of these countries are going to prevent from there being like a fair and just vaccine passport system. But you know, the United Nations has the COVAX program, which is designed to get vaccines out to everybody. So if they're report of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report, keeping y'all up abreast of what's going on, keeping y'all abreast and up to date with what's going on out here. You actually have over in Yemen, there was a report released by the Human Rights Watch on yesterday, that actually broke down that fire that happened at the immigrant jail earlier this month in the capital, Sana'a, where they were basically Houthi security forces. You know, Houthi rebels are the ones that have been warring against the Saudi Arabians, who are actually backed by the United States or whatever. So they've been trying to, you know, hold shit down on that front, you know, for their own sovereignty or, you know, their own purposes. But nevertheless, they actually apparently had shot a projectile into the immigrant jail. And mind you, most of these immigrants are Ethiopians, and it actually killed. The fire set ablaze, you know, 60 of them died, most of them being Ethiopian. So that's crazy and getting looked into. Now, also in the port city of Aden, you had dozens of protesters actually stormed the presidential palace, demanding delayed payment wages, as well as demanding better living conditions. Now, these are all public sector workers, but they all left peacefully once they delivered their demands. So keep in mind the context of all of this, that U.S.-backed Saudi-led war that's been going on between them and Yemen has caused the world's worst humanitarian crisis in Yemen. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about millions of people that are like starving and all of that, whatever. It's bad over there. You know what I'm saying? So stay woke. Green War and graduation. Report of the New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So you have a Jennifer Bedoya. This is a Colombian journalist. And he's talking about Colombia in Latin America. She is actually on trial in the Inter-American Court of Human Rights for basically being kidnapped and raped back in 2000 by state-sponsored paramilitary forces. And that's an accusation. Now, currently, the Colombian government is actually trying to get her case removed, essentially delayed or stopped by actually getting 5 of the 6 judges to recuse themselves. So here's the scoop. Shorty is a journalist. She was actually out there in Bogota, outside of a prison. She was actually there to report on U.S.-backed paramilitary militia groups and death squads. So she ends up kidnapped by, you know, one of these same groups, according to her, where she's kidnapped, she's drugged, she's beaten, and then she's raped repeatedly several times by several people. So that's what ends up happening. She also says that she's faced like threats of persecution, intimidation, death threats, and all of that for decades since this happened. This happened in the year 2000. So we will see how this ends up developing. Green War and graduation. For the other New World, the Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So over in the United Kingdom, you actually have Prime Minister Boris Johnson deciding to remove the cap that they actually have on their nuclear stockpile, allowing them to increase their pile of nuclear Trident warheads by 40%. So that ends multiple decades of gradual nuclear disarmament for the United Kingdom. Now, over here in the U.S., you know, these other motherfuckers can't be stockpiling shit up without the U.S. getting in on the action. Well, there's a GBSD, the ground-based strategic deterrent. This $100 billion missile that's currently in development by the United States. You actually have the Federation of American Scientists that's saying that it is the industry lobbyists and politicians that stand to make up, who states stand to make a profit from the building of this missile that are actually pushing this project forward. Now, the ill thing about it is this is like a Cold War era type missile. It costs a lot to not only build but also to even secure, and it's not really looked at as a safe or cost-effective thing. So you have civilian leaders as well as like political leaders and that are just objecting to this shit. Keep in mind, Northrop Grumman. This is one of the leading defense contractors in the United States. I mean, year after year, they tend to have some of the highest expenses going towards lobbying, meaning literally just having bodies in these, in the Washington, D.C. or whatever, trying to persuade politicians to vote one way or another in order to make their lives easier, you know what I'm saying? So Northrop Grumman is expected to build it along with help from Lockheed Martin, and that expense of building it is expected to swell to $264 billion over the coming decades. Green War and graduation, what they preparing for, what they know that we don't, you know what I'm saying? Well, I guess World War III on the way. Green War and graduation though. Report out of the world of the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So while you got some senators that are debating about whether they should keep the filibuster or not, you know what I'm saying? Like you know, the filibuster is when a senator takes up a bunch of time on the floor in order to delay the voting on a particular bill, whatever. So it's like political theater and strategy used to block shit, you know what I'm saying? To be a blocker. If you a cock blocker, filibustering is what you went to, you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, that while some senators are worried about that, including the Republicans, you know, Senate minority leader now, Mitch McConnell, talking about it's gonna be a scorched earth if something like that is put in play, and how Republicans are gonna retaliate with their own laws once they, you know, if and when they take back the Senate and all of that shit, whatever. So that's going on. But you got the wise ones. You got Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse that's actually calling on the Justice Department to open a probe into the FBI background check in 2018 of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Now, remember when this was actually a thing? Trump nominated him, and then all of a sudden Christine Blasey Ford was the white woman who actually came out and said that he had sexually assaulted her when they were teenagers. Actually tried to forcibly rape her, and did actually, or tried to, pardon me, almost did. Nevertheless, you know, and this was had at a hearing, you know, that's when Brett Kavanaugh was talking about how this was like, you know, this was a sham, and he thought it was a democratic scam and all of that shit, right? Well, now there's a look into the FBI background check that shows, because Senator Whitehouse is basically saying that it was greatly like constrained by, you know, politics and possibly even fake. Like it wasn't even a real background check. I mean, when it came to Dr. Ford, because she is a professor out here somewhere. When it came to Dr. Ford, and then all the other women who had came out who said that he had did something, whatever, they weren't even thoroughly interviewed. There's also reports on there being some substantial debt on his personal debts on his end that somehow were just wiped out right before Donald Trump nominated him to be the Supreme Court Justice. So, you know, we'll see where it goes out. I've been paying attention to his voting record, you know what I'm saying? It hasn't been like radically right wing, you know what I'm saying? Actually, anything I've heard him speak on or say on, I can't say I disagree with him, but, you know, if you live in foul out here, you know what I'm saying, you shouldn't even have that seat. Motherfuckers need to know that. So we'll see how that turns out, though. You know what I mean? Shout out to Sheldon Whitehouse for not dropping the ball on that one, because there's so much shit that's happened under the Trump administration, and since then that it's easy to forget about stuff like that, though. Green War and graduation. News report out of the world of the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. Make sure you check out blackfoxnews.com/shop. Get you one of some, you know what I mean? You get yourself an Earth Day hoodie just like this, or you can actually get different colors shapes and sizes for nigga match anything in your wardrobe on God. You need to go check that out, man. You can find a link in Instagram on our page at Black Fox News with a Z at the end, or you could just type blackfoxnews.com/shop directly into the URL. Now, going to this news, though, there are investigations still going on about the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, where all of these MAGA Donald Trump dick eaters basically stormed the Capitol, almost all of them being white or whatever, but stormed the Capitol while the Senate was actually voting on, or basically we're going to tally up the electoral college votes. So anyway, and it ended up being deadly. 5 people are said to have died from that situation. Now, you have investigation still going on, and there was a 16-year-old that testified against her father, basically saying that this was a guy who was a Texas 3%er. This is somebody who is said to have started a security firm just to circumvent gun laws, and he actually threatened to kill her. The daughter that was testifying, basically saying that after he partook in this insurrection, whatever, he threatened his 2 teenage children if they were to tell on him, basically saying traitors get shot. Now here's my whole thing. It's like on one level, you shouldn't want to snitch on your pops or your moms or whatever, but it's like, but at the same time, motherfuckers got limits. You know what I'm saying? Like, you motherfuckers' morals got limits, and it should be a wake-up call if you're a father and you out here doing shit in broad daylight, and then you expecting the stand on that or whatever. Like, your own kids want to tell on you. How can you be proud of you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but me as a dad, everything I do, I know my kids gonna be proud of it, whatever. They're damn near, and if they not, I'm gonna own up to that shit or whatever. But it's just like, that to me is, yo, God got a way of talking to us, man. That should have been your first sign that you was probably doing some dumb shit. You know what I mean? But who am I? Green War and Graduation. Report of the New World, the Bishop Grady, let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So over at one of my alma maters, Columbia University, you have over 3,000 RAs and TAs that are research assistants and teachers assistants, graduate students essentially and all of that have actually gone on strike after 2 years of unsuccessful negotiations for their union's first contract with the school. This is an Ivy League school, very prestigious institution, very high costing institute, one of the highest costing institutions in the country. So it's like, yo, y'all got the Fetty. I mean, yeah, it's in New York, but y'all got it, right? Well, the part of this contract, the workers are demanding fair wages. They're demanding provisions for the child care and health care services, as well as protections from discrimination and sexual assault. So we'll see how this turns out, but they are actually looking at the scenario as like, well, right now Columbia doesn't want to give up any money, and their workers are saying that they've threatened to cut off any pay for people who are participating in the unions, and they're spreading anti-union messages throughout the school to the student. We'll see how this turns out. Green War and Graduation. Report of the New World, the Bishop Grady, let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So over in New York, you have in New York City specifically, taxi drivers have actually been leading protests for over a week now, going against Mayor Bill de Blasio's plan that he says was actually set out to relieve taxi drivers of their debts. I mean, if you've been following me the last couple of years, I've been telling y'all about how taxi drivers have been committing suicide in New York due to the crazy amounts of debts that they have. At least that's what is determined to be about, or whatever. But this plan de Blasio offered does not offer any debt relief. It actually offers like a very modest loan for taxi drivers to pay off for their taxi medallions, which is, the debt has been accrued from the artificial increase of these taxi medallions. So you got the taxi workers alliance, that taxi driver workers alliance, that's actually their leader is actually speaking out against it, saying this is a city that already has blood on their hands. This offer from the Blasio is actually a disgrace, and people are just not feeling it. We'll see how this turns out. Green War and Graduation.